All right, here we go. This is the last review before the test. So here we go with Unit 3, Review B. So we've gone through so many reviews and everything that this should probably be pretty quick as I go through this. So here we go. We begin with this first question that has the various averages, the mean, median, mode, and everything. We have all these numbers. So let's go ahead and begin by entering those into our calculator here. So I go to my stats screen and I enter the elements of the list. It's important that you kind of take your time here so you don't have a mistaken button slip. Watch with me saying that, I'll goof up here. All right, now that I have these entered and I see that there's 20 numbers, what I do is I slowly scroll back through them just to make sure that I didn't make any silly button slips, because it would be a shame for me to get something wrong because I just accidentally entered a wrong number. So I scroll back through it. All right, looks pretty good. So again, I see that I have 20 numbers here in this list. So I'm going to jot that down. That's going to kind of help me out here in the future. All right, so the first one is the mean. So the mean is I add up all the numbers of the list and divide by the number of numbers. Again, try to get in the habit of actually writing work. Don't just write the answer when you do your things. Write the work out with it. So if there's work to show the work. So I add up all the numbers. That's a great number to write down. And then n, there you go. So that, I know it's not a lot of work, but it's at least something. The median is the middle number. So if there are 20 numbers in this list, that implies that it's going to be in between the 10th and the 11th number. Now, when I look at my calculator here, it wouldn't make any sense to look at the 10th and the 11th number right now, because the numbers aren't in order. So you first have to put them in order. So I go to the tool, sort ascending, that's sort A. How many lists? One. Which list? One. Now that the numbers are in order, I can look at the 10th and the 11th number, which they are really easy this time. So it's the number between 200 and 200. So you would add them up, divide by 2, but that's obviously 200. All right, the mode is the most often. I'm probably thinking that it's also 200. I'm just going to scroll through, see if there's anything there. So actually there's two 160s, three 200s. Yeah, three 200s is that one. So 200, there's three 200s. That's more than anything else. And last but not least is a mean with a 10% trim. So to do that problem, I need to know what is 10% of the numbers. So 10% of 20 numbers is 2. So that means I'm cutting 2 of the smallest and 2 of the largest. So I go to my list, I go to my smallest numbers, and I hit delete, delete. Go to the very bottom of the list, which are my largest numbers, and again I hit delete, delete. And so that knocks down the grand total numbers to 16. But from here, now that I deleted, I trimmed my list, I'm going to find the average like I would. So I add up the numbers and divide by the number of numbers. And notice now that I am dividing by the number 16, not 20. All right. So that's that. Again, hopefully I didn't make a bad button push something. Okay. That is that. Next is the weighted averages. The weighted averages. So the formula, if you ever look it up, weighted average is the sum of xw divided by the sum of w. So what that in essence means, oops. So what that in essence means, the weighted average is the sum of xw divided by the sum of w. And so that'll be like xw plus xw plus divided by just w. So what the x represents is the score, what the w represents is the weight. So on the top, I multiply the individual scores with the weights, add it all up. On the bottom, I just add the weights added up for whatever categories. So I see that these are the weights. These are the scores. So what is Lupita's grade? And so I multiply the scores with the weights. So let's go take the tests, score with the weight, plus the final, so the score with the weight. And I go through all the categories that are completely fulfilled, and I divide by just the weights. Get a top answer, bottom answer, and then divide the two. So the top answer is 91 times 75 plus 87 times 25. Oop, made a big mistake. Sorry, let's try that one more time. 91 with 75 and 87 with 25. 0.9, add up the bottom, that is 1, so this is 0.9, aka 90%. 90% is what Lupita has. Give an example of a data set that would that should be trimmed. So again, this is when I think of like high school class. There's all these teenagers, right? And then there's the teacher, right? So when you write an example, make just one weird number. Don't make multiple weird numbers. Don't make super lows and super highs, things like that. So put like all of the numbers in one kind of category and then just one weirdo number. I know in the past they've also asked the question, why would you trim a list? Why would you trim a list? And the reason that you would trim a list, in case they ask you on the test, why would you? It's to eliminate outliers. Okay, it's to eliminate outliers. It does not make it more accurate, it eliminates outliers. All right, next page we begin with the variance, standard deviation, coefficient variation, things like that. So the important part about getting the correct answer of these is knowing the formula. So the variance, s squared, is equal to the sum, double open, x minus x bar, closed squared closed, divided by n minus 1, right? So that's s squared, thus s is just obviously the square root of s squared. And the coefficient of variation is s divided by x bar times 100. To be successful with these questions, you need to know the different variables. So x is the list itself, so I'll put this list into list 1. X bar is the average and the n is the number of elements in that list. So this one happens to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this will have 12 numbers in the list. So before I get going, I have to find that average, that X bar that I need. So it'll be a number. So I go to my stats, clear out anything there, enter my list. Okay, again, scroll through it just to make sure I didn't do anything super silly. Okay, good to go. So I need to find the average of this. So I add up the numbers. And divide by the number of numbers, which again in this case is 12. All right, on to the average. I can pretty much type this straight up into my calculator to get that numerator answer. So that's going to be the sum, open, x, which is list 1, minus x bar, which is 6.5, close squared, close. That comes out to be 23. All right. The denominator is n minus 1, so that's going to be 11. 23 divided by 11 is 2.0909. All right, so here I need to take the square root of s squared. S squared is 2.0909. Again, I'm not actually going to type that number. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the answer option. So I'm going to go square root answer. So square root answer. There you go. Some rounding there. All right. Last but not least, what do we got? So I have this. So this is going to be S, so that's 14460, divided by X bar, which I believe was 6.5, times 100. Again, I am not actually going to type in 1.44, blah, blah, blah. Again, that is my answer that I have in my calculator. So I'm going to use the answer divided by 6.5 times 100. All right, next problem, coefficient variation. Wrong formula. S divided by X bar times 100. So those numbers are in the problem itself. So S divided by X bar times 100. Again, round your numbers to 4 decimal places. Okay, again, notice my work. The work that I showed, if there's possible, write a formula. I put in numbers, and then I have an answer. This is complete work. Make sure you're showing formula, numbers, and answers pretty much for every single problem. Like take a look at C, formula, numbers, answers, formula, numbers, answers, formula, numbers, answers. Formula, numbers, answers is the way to go. This is how you show work. Okay, Chevy Chev. Chevy Chev, we have these three criterion, 75% alludes to, that is the X bar plus and minus 2 standard deviations. 88.9% is plus or minus 3 standard deviations, and 93.8 is 4 standard deviations. Okay, they want the 75%. All right, so that's kind of for you. Here's what I would write. So I start with my formula. Put in the numbers. And then get my answer. So this is going to be 2314 minus 2 standard deviations. And the average plus 2 standard deviations. This is interval notation. That is what that means. So load of A. Don't write it backwards like 37 to 9. That doesn't make any sense. All right, last page. We begin with the percentile. The percentile, again, is like a scale from 0 to 100. And I see that Mike is at the 60th percentile. That means that there's 60 below and 40 above. 60 below and 40 above. So that is our setup. So what percentage of colleges cost more? That'd be 40%. What percent of the colleges cost less? That'd be 60%. Okay, here we have this, and we are to make a box and whiskers and a 5-value summary. So what we need to do is we need to do this old school style, and we need these numbers in order. So that's where I begin. I'm going to put these numbers in order just like I have some of those other problems. Okay, 10 numbers, just again, double check. Okay, to put them in order, I go to the tool, sort ascending, F1. How many lists? 1, which list? 1. Now they're in order. And here's one where you physically should write down the numbers in order. I have 598, 634, 656, 687, 717, 826, 861, 884, 892, and 898. Okay, 10 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're good to go. All right, to find our 5-value summary, isn't it nice that they write these things down, is to find the median. So to find the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. All right, so I see that the median is going to exist between those two numbers right there. So that's in between 717 and 826. Again, how you find the middle of any two numbers is you add them up and divide by 2. So 717 and 826, 77, 1.5. Okay, that is the median. With that, that splits the list. The 717 now belongs to the low side. This 826 now belongs to the high side. Now, what I do is I find the median of the low side and the median of the high side. So the low side, 1, 1, 2, 2. It's going to be exactly that number right there. High side is 1, 1, 2, 2. It's at 884. All right, so my 5-value summary. The minimum is the smallest number of the list, and that is 598. The largest number, the max, is the largest number, and that's 898. The quartiles come in the order small to big, so that's 656, 771.5, and 884. To the box and whiskers itself. So the minimum gets a dot, so that's at 598, so that's just a little bit shy of the 600. Again, don't forget to label your dots and lines. So 598, 898 is way up by the 900, just a little bit short of the 900. That's 898. And then I have a 656. So 656 is just a little bit above the 650. Like that. So that's 656. Again, label it. 656. 771 is kind of in between the 750 and the 800. So 771. And then I have the 884. 884 again is real close to the 900. It's up here. 884. Then what I do is I connect the tops of the tops, the bottoms with the bottoms, and then the dots to the middle of the edges. That's a box and whiskers. And then interquartile range. The interquartile range is a range. Range is always the biggest minus the smallest of something. So what that means in terms of quartiles is that's quartile 3, which is always the biggest, minus quartile 1, which is always the smallest. So in this case, that's 884 minus 656. That comes out to be 228. Boom, that's it. Drop the mic.